So we're going to talk about the 6 stages that you're going to go through as you develop your spiritual practice in a way. So what do I really mean by this? Well, as you start your sadhana, because this is really what we're going to talk about, is a series, the stages of the sadhana, or the things that you might experience as you go through the sadhana, and how to keep yourself on track, really, because we recognize that this journey and to set ourselves free is not an overnight job. It requires time, it requires hard work, and there's a path to that in a way. So the first stage of your sadhana journey is going to be that you're either going to be really motivated to do your sadhana, or you're going to be really unmotivated to do your sadhana. And I think that will largely depend on 2 different things. One, you'll be motivated if you want to create change for yourself, isn't it? If you want to transform and understand some of the deeper dimensions of life, you'll be very motivated to do your sadhana. Some people, and this is just what I see, come into this unmotivated, and now this could be for a couple of reasons. One, they might have a bit of mental or physical laziness in their system. Sorry, love you lots, but true, I know it in me. Or they might have already had a big awakening experience, a firework experience or something, and think all of the work is done, and therefore might come in unmotivated and a little bit lazy in a way. So that's that first stage. You're either going to be really motivated to do this work, or you're not going to be motivated, and you're going to have to develop some of that discipline in a way. The second stage then of your sadhana path or your yogic journey, the ego is going to resist. For sure, the ego is going to resist. Not that the ego has its own sense of awareness, but I like to use this term anyway. It's like the ego knows that this is the end for it, in a way. This is how the ego gets sucked into you and integrated in a way, is by doing your sadhana, by doing your daily spiritual practice to bring about that highest aliveness of energy in the system and bring about the best possibility, the highest possibility in your life. And of course the ego is going to resist that at every step. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, again, laziness. Ego likes to feel comfortable, doesn't it? And so Netflix seems a lot more inviting than getting on the mat, and it's so much more, I don't want to say it's more difficult nowadays, but the quality of the spiritual aspirant nowadays is to be a little bit lazy. It just is that way. It is that way only because we have so much distractions. It's innocent, I know it in me, it's innocent, and of course, but we also, perhaps we believe that there's lifetimes to do this work in, but really the deep truth of knowledge that you know now is that you're going to die. At least this body is going to die. Yes, there's an aspect of you, this witness or this observer inside of you, yet that is seemingly infinite. It is incredibly deep, soft, loving, kind, infinite, and in a way you as that don't exist. You're before existence. You were never born, and therefore you'll never die. Yes, these things are true, but until we know that, and even I would say myself, I don't know that yet. Always. Sometimes ego comes up and I get confused for a couple of days and then I'll go back. Or something, you know. Or sometimes even longer than that, you know. But that's the path, isn't it? And so ego is going to put a lot of resistance up. That's the second stage. You'll doubt, you'll want to quit, you'll want a refund from whatever teacher you're on with, etc. And that's just the way it works. You're not going to trust the teacher or the person that you're with. You're going to think it's all a sham or whatever. And that's natural. We all go through that stage. Third stage then of spiritual practice is you will cultivate discipline. And we do that by investing in ourselves daily. We get on the mat. Every time we get on the mat, that's an investment in myself. It's a show of appreciation and love and respect for self, isn't it? And for that larger energy, in a way. You know, sun salutations. What is that? It's a yogic flow, right? A set of asanas. It's a kriya. But what is it? Well, you're saluting the sun. which is, in essence, we might say, a manifestation of God. All of this is a manifestation of God, or that larger power, or however you want to call it, or consciousness, or whatever. And in a way, we use our body to form a prayer towards that. Now, we can start off like that. Is it really for that? Well, yeah, in a way, yeah, it is. But really, it's for this one, isn't it? To cultivate the sufficient prana in the system so that we can experience God, in a way, through the vehicle of self. So you will cultivate discipline. Why? Because you'll begin to recognize it's necessary, and I have to overcome my tendencies or karma. Fourth stage, and this can go one of two ways. You'll either hold that discipline, and that's great if you can do that, but it's not always possible, and it's not very likely at your first attempt that you'll do that, or you'll go back to living through your tendencies, which is the most likely. I don't want to say that's for everyone, but most likely that's what's going to happen. And then we cultivate laziness again, and we sort of go off the path a little bit. Not that that can ever really happen, but we just kind of aren't so focused anymore. Now, what I must say at this stage, on that fourth part, where we perhaps either hold to our discipline, which is great, or we sort of fall off the wagon a bit, when we fall off, you will then find it very hard to come back. You will, because naturally you'll have to. There'll be an inner yearning for it. But in a way, it's very then difficult to cultivate the consistency that you had again. Totally possible, totally doable, but harder. And then you might find yourself saying to myself, I think I'm going backwards. I was really able to hold my practices in a consistent way really well back then. I had some lubrication behind me, which was what was being cultivated by consistently investing in ourselves. And now I don't have that lubricant. And then sometimes we can blame life and go, okay, not like in a subtle way, and say, well, maybe this is my path. And it's like, yeah, it can be, but it's slower. Because who's creating this life? Well, God, fine. But who's then been given the will to transform? Well, that's us, isn't it? The speed of which you do that will be dependent on how much you're willing to surrender to this path, isn't it? And surrender to continually invest in consistency in your practice and in yourself. So, the fifth stage then, if you haven't already held onto your discipline, you will then likely flit and flirt between being disciplined and not. Being disciplined and not. And it will usually happen when bad things happen, you'll be disciplined. When good things happen, you'll relax and take don't know, we've got a lot of American viewers, so a Kool-Aid on the beach or something, you know? Or we'll just chill out and take a week off or something, and then all right, you're back to stage 4, aren't you? You've lost your discipline, and then it'll be hard to cultivate again. And so you sort of flit and flirt between these kind of two stages until you become non-negotiable, or you give up. They're the two options. That's the sixth stage. You become non-negotiable in your sadhana, which at this point will be quite easy, relatively easy to do. Why? Because you've got enough lubrication behind you because of your consistent practice. But also, in a way, you see the benefits of it that just increase and increase and increase and increase as we go into deeper and deeper depths of ourselves and gain, and then can hold on to more and more of that prana. And then, you know, you never know when somebody's just going to go bang. Or you give up. Giving up is also a possibility if you are not continually investing in yourself on the mat. So they're the 6 stages. Of course, you can probably never really give up, because when time comes around, maybe that you get to 50, maybe 60 years old, you'll see, time's running out now. I wish I never gave up. My teacher always said to me, he said, my teacher always used to say to me that do this one thing, just do your sadhana, regardless of how it feels, regardless if you think you're making any progress, just keep doing it. And he said, I did do that, and I'm so happy that I did. And now I can pass that message on and say, I'm still going, still going strong. You know, we wave through crisis and dark nights and a lot of crap, but there's a lot of joy there too. And throughout all of that, I've kept going with my sadhana. And so far, I'm so happy that I have. And I'm going to keep going, and hopefully you will too. Because if we give up, time's ticking, isn't it? We're heading slowly, sure, but surely, to our graves. And so let's make an ultimate realization here in this life, isn't it? Time's running out for all of us. So let's play the game in the right way and do our sadhana. I hope that helps. Namaste.